Wow. And I'm like, what? Lama, what? Yeah. Oh, hey, welcome to Kind. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Holly, and I'll be chatting to guests about the times people were kind to them and how that changed things. In this episode, you'll hear how the people closest to you and people you've never met before can surprise you in the very best of ways. By the way, I'm proud of you. Right, let's drop you straight in. You're about to hear from Eva Oh, an internationally renowned dominatrix and podcast host. Eva, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So, first question. What does it mean to be kind? What does that mean to you?
I think that it's probably a core value that helps life to feel its best. Yeah.
Would you say it's one of your core values?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's quite central. Kindness in how I move through the world and how I am to myself.
And what's an everyday act of kindness that means a lot to you? Like someone checking in or making you a meal? Or
I mostly think about myself. Like, what am I doing for me? But you're thinking in terms of other people doing things?
Yeah, for this one, yeah.
Giving me space. Leaving me alone.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you value on a day-to-day basis, or are there particular times where you're just like...
Oh, day to day.
Day-to-day.
Almost every moment. Spot the introvert.
Yeah, so you're quite happy in your own company.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it so much. And I think especially, I guess, in the business of interaction, and also because it's also the business of relationship in a lot of ways, I really appreciate the slaves who are able to keep their distance, but appreciate the closeness when we do have it.
Yeah, there's a balance. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know it most of the time. I get it.
As part of that, do you feel that you can tell these? Oh, can you tell
yes,
the slaves?
Of course.
Just
me personally, yes. I can see how maybe at an earlier part of my career when I was more financially hooked onto whether that income was coming in, then you feel a little bit more like you can or you need to blur your boundaries in order to make the bag. But now, because I have made enough to be more independent from them, it's a very quick no.
Yeah. And so when a guest comes on the show, I ask them to think of 3 stories, 3 times people have done something kind for them. So, your first story, I wondered if you'd start by telling me where you were in your career at this stage.
So, the first story that I remember of an act of kindness was when I first started domination. So when my first day that I walked into the dungeon, and I walked into the waiting room, which was really fluorescent and not vibey like the rest of the place. And there were 3 doms in there. And one of them was called Demonia, and she offered to take me on a walk of the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've walked into this fluorescent room, Demonia's there.
In motorcycle boots.
Nice. And how were you feeling in that moment?
I've walked into a lot of first times, so I'm okay with just showing up and adapting. So I was just like ready, I guess. Yeah, as like quiet and watching and ready as I could be. But I think the way that I usually approach things is that I leave myself available to what the room kind of needs. So that's just the headspace that I was walking in. The room wanted me to be the lowest common denominator, which is fine, which is what I did the entire time I was in that room for the year. Yeah.
So Mistress Demonia says, go on then, I'll take you on this tour.
Yeah.
And what was it about that about you, about her taking you on the tour, but even the offering that stood out as particularly kind to you?
Well, I don't think at that point I really realized when she said, I'll give you a tour and I'll show you how to clean, because that's going to be the most important thing you're going to have to learn. I don't think at that point I really thought, oh, that's a very kind thing to do. I kind of, only upon reflection do I realize like how generous she was being. Like not only did she walk me through and tell me little stories of things, but she was just like being so perceptive to who I was. And I think that was partially because she was getting a kick out of the new girl, like seeing things for the first time. But, you know, like at one point we're walking through the big dungeon and she's telling me this cute story about this saddle that somebody had custom made for himself and everybody rode him and then he never came back. Very lovely, like kind of set the scene for me. She was just, I guess, very generous and artistic about her induction of the new girl. And then she took me to the back room, which is like the medical room. And there was like some sort of fluff on the side of a chair. And I went to, and she was like, somebody didn't clean that. And so I'm like, service mode, I'm trying to find something to clean it with. And I grab a tissue. And she's like, no, it leaves fibers. And so then she takes like a towel. And then I take a towel. And then we clean the thing. And so it's just, I guess, I just liked that, yes, it was serving her curiosity, but it was also like very generous in noticing my gaps and how to fill them. I just really appreciate, I guess, the perception. And she didn't even have to talk to me that day. You know, a lot of them avoided me for the whole time that I was there. But I don't know why she did that. But I guess there was just something quite caring about her, even though the motorcycle boots and everything was very terrifying. And she was also like a doctorate in like medicine. I'm not going to go into exactly what, but like just like terrifyingly intelligent, terrifying, aesthetic, terrifying way that she moved through the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also was invited into her session that day. And she like, her eyes sort of lit up and she said that this is actually a very good first session for you to witness. And it was electrics and mummification, which is not as common as maybe some things. And so I think that's what she meant. But that, I guess she brought me in.
Yeah.
And that she kind of told me to do things without telling me to do things. She just gave me so much, like on my first day. And I think that might just be her nature. But I got so much information just from those 2 hours with her, you know, that I still apply today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be indebted to that moment forever. Yeah.
That's such a huge impact that the very start still impacts today. So Simonia's in the boots. What else is she wearing?
I was really, really normal. Like maybe just like a t-shirt and some sort of like jean situation.
Okay.
But then during the session, like I didn't see her change until I went into the room. She had put on this like really long wig and she had really cropped hair and then also wearing like a full like lace sort of catsuit.
Right.
Yeah. And her voice had dropped like many, many like levels of loudness. It had become very, very soft.
Okay.
It's still very strong,
Yeah.
but like very soft. It was like a different space. And she was like whispering to the guy's ear. And I do all of these tricks now too still. Yeah, so it was like a learning day. But at the end of the day, I did end up doing my first session, even though I didn't plan on that. Yeah, which was amazing. But I did a lot of things wrong.
We all do when we're learning.
Yeah. But I could have done with a little bit more training before flogging somebody, I think.
Yeah.
But I had never seen a flogger before that day. It was brand new to the whole thing.
Really, not even something that you knew about.
No, that's one thing actually that Damania asked me. She kind of at the very beginning, before offering the tour or anything, she said, "So, have you been in sex work before?" At that point, I had learned what sex work the term was, and I said no, which I didn't know before. So naive. And then she asked, "Oh, so but you practice kink?" And I was like, such a fucking weird thing to say. But like I was like, I feel acquainted with the headspace, but I don't actually know the practicalities of it. I said something like that.
That's a very eloquent thing to say.
I know, but it was just like in an open room with people who don't know you, and most people are working class, and like it's just like the wrong sentence to say, like making yourself stand out like a sore bloody thumb. Yeah. God help it. I read a lot when I was small. It just comes out.
So what had brought you to that point?
I needed the money.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in strategic consulting before, and I had done a lot of freelance stuff that was really fun. But then I thought, okay, maybe I can make proper money out of this. And so I joined an agency, and I hated it. Within weeks, I understood already that I was way too idealistic for a job that was all about the dollar. But I needed to find work. So after my probation ended, I couldn't go through a whole other process. It took me like 6 months, interviews, whatever, to get that job, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to search this thing that somebody sort of suggested to me once upon a time because I was being assertive about something. I think that assertive women are seen as bossy, and then there's this like title put upon them that is like made towards female domination when actually it's just assertiveness, I think. Yeah.
So why do you think that the atmosphere from everyone else was like, not even going to talk to you?
Patriarchy.
Okay, right.
Because women are pit against each other as a symptom of it, as well as a symptom of capitalism, I guess. You're walking in as a freelancer in a group of freelancers, and I think you feel the pressure of that. Yeah. So I never held it against them, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And is it something that you have passed on since?
What, the assholeness?
No, the other side. So, like the idea that, like you could take someone's hand and be like,
generosity of spirit.
This is the lay of the land.
Yeah, I believe that it serves all of us. There's a lot of people who don't like how much I give, and they want me to gatekeep more. I think I try to gatekeep the things that need to be, like our security stuff and some safety stuff. And I don't encourage people to do heavy practices and stuff like that unless they have proper training. But in general, I like to be available. And now I have, the podcast, the book, everything is kind of a symptom of me just wanting to give. And also I have a Patreon that's like pretty cheap, like compared to my usual rate of interaction. Yeah, that people can come and ask me whatever. I do Q&As on there. So I've been in this for almost 15 years. And I think there becomes a point when if you're not sharing, it's an insanely selfish act in a social world. Yeah.
If you weren't sharing, do you think it would feel lonely or anything like that to you?
Probably. Yeah, probably. And it just doesn't really align with how I feel about camaraderie, I guess. Yeah. I don't really see us as individual. I think I see us very tethered to each other. Yeah, and I know the effects of that isolation. Yeah.
What do you mean when you say
that? Well,
that?
It's already so isolating being a sex worker. I think that, even if somebody's not a part of a big group of sex workers going to parties or whatever, if they just hear the podcast or if they just see an Instagram post and they see something that's a little bit of who they are, they feel like they can have a little bit more space in the world, and maybe that will lead to something else. So I think it's like a duty almost.
Yeah. To connect.
To be available as somebody who is from a very marginalized place, if I have the capacity to be. Obviously, it's not safe.
Yeah.
In general, or very unsafe for others. So just as long as I can, I guess.
Hi, Holly. It's Kay. I'm here with my act of kindness story. My story is about my cat, Lyra. Lyra Wardrobe, to give her a full title. I let my kids pick a name each, and that's what happens when you do these things. But we got her in lockdown, and she was the first pet for my kids, so you can imagine all the love for this cat. So much love for Lyra Wardrobe. So it was pretty awful when I got a call from the vets to say she'd been run over, and I had to get there quick because it wasn't looking good. Got there really fast, but it was too late for Lyra, sadly. She was in a hell of a mess and had to be put down. So all very traumatic and horrible. Much missed, that cat. But it transpired that, and this is where the kindness comes, she'd actually crawled into the garden of someone's house. A lovely lady called Olivia, who had a baby. So she put a message on Facebook saying, can somebody help? And someone did help, another stranger, a guy called Daniel, who came and scooped her up. And yeah, without them stepping up and coming to help a stranger's cat, I wouldn't have been able to get there in time to say goodbye and just give her a bit of comfort right at the end. Because at the end, she knew I was there. She was purring, so she managed to do some final purrs. And that's kind of huge. So thank you to those amazing two strangers who were kind to me and her, this mess of a cat. So, and also thank you to Lyra Wardrobe, because she did a final act of kindness for me, crawling into Olivia's garden. Olivia is a beautician, and now we're friends, and Olivia does my eyebrows. So thank you, Lyra Wardrobe. Love the show.
We're going to move on to your second act of kindness. So, will you start by introducing me to your mum?
Oh, my mom. What do you want to know?
What's she like as a person? Like, what's her vibe when she comes into a room?
Oh, I mean, one, because everybody judges things on looks. She's incredibly beautiful. So that's probably what they would notice first. But then alongside that, she's quite quiet in a lot of ways, but not in a way where she's shy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think it's just very peaceful sort of feeling. Yeah. So I'm very lucky to have her.
And what's your relationship like with your mum?
Oh, I always just thought that's what relationships were like with us, but now I realize that it's not the case. And we're probably on the high end of close.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'll call her whenever I can, like once a day maybe. Texting all the time, asking for advice, even at 40 plus.
Is she a good advice?
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she's the best. Yeah, some of my exes like still ask whether they can ask her for advice, and I'm like, no. That was gone. I left.
Yeah. You don't get that. No.
Entitlement.
Yeah, that's sacred.
Yeah.
And has it always been like that relationship? Have you always been close?
There was a moment there when she had to go away to work in Japan when I felt quite hurt. Yeah, but that was when I was much, much younger. But I think it all kind of got very much closer again when I started my meditation, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then it gave me more space to like hear her a little bit more.
When was that in your life?
14 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah. And so maybe there was unfortunately like a 10-year gap, but then it was also around like adolescence, which is difficult for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank God that is in the past. Yeah. All the time I'm always thinking like, wow, I'm glad I don't have to do any of that again. Yeah. So much learning. Hang in there if you're younger than me. Yeah.
And so you said when you sent these over that your mum is always kind.
Yeah.
What was the specific kind thing that came to mind?
So I didn't tell my mother about work for about 7 years.
Okay. Even though you're talking all the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about other things.
Yeah.
How's work going? Because like I was kind of doing freelance stuff before, so I just said, contracts are good. Contracts are good. She knew something was up, but she just like gave me the space because I guess she just knows me. She knows that I will say when I'm ready, and I feel like she knows most things before I even say. So, for example, I haven't talked about the podcast with her because there's some pretty intimate things on there, but I'm sure she knows that the podcast is around. I'm sure she follows my Instagram with her burner account or whatever. But the particular story that I'm thinking about is when I finally told her about work. And I planned this big trip. Like we were all going to Singapore because she loves Singapore. And I like treated the whole family to it. And I'm going to tell them. And if it goes wrong, it's okay. Just going to go home to Bali and continue my life without my family, which of course is difficult. But it was just like, I realized it had come to a point where I needed to be honest. Otherwise, it would stop my relationship, not only with them, but with my job and the world, you know, like they were the first point of being okay with how I was. And I needed to extend on that. And they were kind of the crux of it. And so I didn't tell them. It was terrifying.
Okay.
But so they're at the airport. I've dropped them off. They're flying off. And I'm like, so I'm going to keep going on to Hong Kong and I'm going to go work. And they're like, oh, what are you doing in Hong Kong? And I said, in the WhatsApp family chat, like professional domination. And then like pause, because I guess they don't know what it is, and then probably Googling. And then private chat, really? Like, yes, I'm available for questions. And she said, no current questions. I'll let you know. And then we continue on like normal, whatever. Nobody really addresses it in the chat. And a month later, I see her in the south of Australia, Western Australia, and I take her to like wine country down there. And as soon as she and I are alone, she starts asking me questions like, so what does that sort of relationship look like with your clients? I guess she had done some Googling. Yeah. And like, so what are the motivations for having that? Like, what is it like also for you? So what is the touch point like when you're not together then? It was like very, very thoughtful. Like, I want to understand what is happening and why it's happening. And I think that was like, oh shit, I should have told her sooner. And then just like half an hour after all of that sort of happens, we're driving out of the property. I'd rented this like huge middle of nowhere property. And I tell my partner at the time to open the gate because I'm driving. And she's in the back seat and she says, hey, you know, some of us just like to be told, don't we? I'm like, what? You're making a joke already? I'm like, okay, yeah. So I guess like it was a really good experience of the richness of her compassion. Yeah, it's her humor, her curiosity. Yeah, she just, and I guess that's why like kindness, care is such a big part of my life because it's just how we are. Yeah, it's just how the family sort of is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you that she'd led with curiosity and humor?
I mean, it's her in a bloody nutshell. All the time she's like laughing at me, but like I feel like love in it. So I'm like, okay, fine, laugh at me. I was really proud of her, I guess. Yeah.
And did that then open up different conversations when you're chatting to her every day? Were there different things that you felt if you wanted to, you know, you could share, you could go there in a way that work before had been like, I'm on a contract, it's good?
Actually, no, because that's not like the main focus of our interaction. Like, there's a lot of other things to sort of think about and talk about. But I would throw in that I'm going for work or whatever, or I have a really big client. And this is kind of what they're about or something like this. But it's actually still just maybe 2% of what we're actually talking about. Yeah. It's just easier, I guess. You know? Yeah.
Did it change how you felt about what you were doing, given that you'd shared it?
Yeah, I guess the backing of my family has always been a huge thing. And now I really feel it like entirely. And so I guess I just have even more balls now. Yeah. I'm like, well, it goes wrong, just go home to mom.
It's kind of the ideal safety net.
Yeah.
What had you feared the conversation might go like?
That they would disown me, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Because she's also quite religious. Like, she's really into the Bible. She teaches the Bible to women. She works at like an Anglican sort of like space, and so it's that was kind of like maybe this won't go down very well, but it did. It worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think that she reconciles her beliefs with all the different sides of society and of you?
Well, I guess also maybe because I'm not really sure. That could be an interesting question for me to ask her, actually. But I have the sense that because when she does all of the teaching, it's not just like what the Bible is saying. It's like, how are we interpreting it? What is the culture at the time? What is the context? How have things changed? So I think that it's not like her religion isn't basic like maybe a lot of people's might be. I think her religion has inspired self-investigation. This is what I've noticed in her. And then I think an investigation in general, an ability to be there for people also because she's like leading groups of women, right?
Yeah.
So I think it kind of works out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like maybe it's towards more of a set of values than something really prescriptive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also the fact that we come from such a varied background also, and we moved a lot. And my family, like, we're completely different colors a lot of the time. And we all speak like different languages in different parts, and we speak English together. So I think the variety also of perspective has probably helped also. Yeah. Always grateful. could be really bad.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a wonderful family.
Yeah. No, I feel very lucky all the time.
So my family came from Croatia, and we were refugees, and there was a family that helped us stay with them. And I still remember that I was quite young, but it was quite a horrible time, and they had no reason to do that. And a lot of people were very hateful and not helpful. And we're still friends with them, and they're just the most amazing people. And that's kind of like a really big, kind thing, obviously, but it's just taking in a family, and just change someone's life.
So we're going to move on to story number 3. So will you start by setting the scene of where you were when this took place?
It was quite recent. I was taking a short flight, always like being the last person on the plane, just like don't want to have to keep sitting, you know?
Yeah.
And so walk onto the plane. I guess the guy next to me thinks there's nobody there. Yahoo for him. He's got his shit all over my seat. Okay. And he's a bit older, so I'm not like pissed. I'm just like, okay, probably needs some help.
Yeah.
So I end up saying, like, getting to the seat and saying, hey, I'm sitting here. Is that all right? Like, not being confronting, just sort of like letting you know you're going to have to get your life together. And he looked really sweet, actually, when he looked up at me. He was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, like a little bit like dumb also, you know, like dumb to the fact that could be sarcastic, which I'm grateful for. So I didn't want to be mean, but I know it can come across like that sometimes. And so I just asked him whether he wants help with his bag. And so I take the bag and I put it up, which I guess I'm realizing now is probably the trigger for him being curious about me, because I guess women don't normally offer to put a bag up for a dude. Yeah, because I would just, like, I just want to sit, you know? Yeah, and I am strong, and I'm here. Let's just let me do this. It's going to take you so long to get out of that seat. Anyway, so I did that. And I sit down, and he's asking, so why are you going to where we're going? And I don't want to tell him that I'm going there for my friend's sex party that she's become the creative director of, and I'm a dominatrix, and my like sub flew me out, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm just visiting, passing through. Yeah. Also, what do you normally do with your time? It's like, oh, these days I'm mostly looking after my family, which is not untrue. Yeah. But I just didn't want to get into it. Like, I'm in here for the next hour. I don't need to talk about this, right? And so he starts to offer things about himself, you know? He's on the way to talk about, like, Buddhism because he's a scholar. He was, like, working with the Dalai Lama and da-da-da and so on and so forth. And then we find out that he's, like, a Buddhist teacher, actually. like a lama in like a certain tradition. And I'm like, okay, we're like maybe half an hour in now. You've told me some wonderful stories. I'll just bloody tell you. I'll just tell you. You seem really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I am on my way to a sex party, and my friend is becoming the creative director of it, so I want to celebrate with her. And I am a dominatrix. So this is the norm for my life.
Yeah.
And he was like, and then he starts talking about Tantra a bit, like really chill, like sort of taking it on board, knows some terminology. I'm like, you have lived. He's like in his 70s at this point. Yeah. And we get on to like talking about what we were doing just in the few days around that flight. We're talking nonstop from like sitting down to getting off the plane, by the way, right? And he's talking about how he just submitted like a book to he's written like a lot of books. And I was like, oh, so I'm just on the last legs of my draft with my agent. And he's like, oh, can I see? And so we swap laptops. His is like a touch screen, so he completely messes up my manuscript. Thank God I have like, I can go back. Anyway, and like, so he's reading mine, I'm reading his, and like, this is incredible. I'm like reading stuff about like the Dalai Lama and stuff, and he's reading and he's chuckling to himself. I gave him the chapter on penis envy because he had talked about like emasculation or something at one point in the conversation. And then when we're both sort of done, he says to me like, can I give you a note? Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like totally fine. It's so different to when it first started anyway. And he said, so you know when you talk about, he opens his hand and shows you his orgasm? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I feel like just a little bit more description there would make it more visceral for the reader. I feel like the reader wants to see like what it looks like. Is there a sound? Wow. And I'm like, what? Lama? What? Yeah. But I added in what it looks like and the viscosity of it. And so we can thank the Lama for that. But I just thought like, I guess similarly to like my mom, right? It's like you think that people are coming from this sort of religious framework, but actually there's so much openness, understanding that can come from people who really sink into maybe the compassion and the care of their religion. Yeah. And I mean, this was obviously a very richly textured person who had done a lot in his life also. And all the writing, it also probably helped with the feedback. But like he didn't need to engage with me like he did. Yeah. And to be so, again, generous. I think a lot of it comes back to generosity.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah.
Did you exchange the rest of your drafts for
He
each other
asked to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is with legal now.
Okay.
Because my people are not the Dalai Lama. Being good and all of that. So we need to protect them. Yeah. But once that's done, I said I would send it to him.
Do you think he'll have further notes?
I feel like he's a note giver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have notes on his?
No. That's written like 20 books or something like this. And like, this is my first and I'm fumbling around in the dark. I did actually say to him, because you could really tell, like also, I was like, this is an offering, isn't it? Like he did this to give to people. He didn't give it to like jerk off, like a lot of writers do. It was like, you could tell that he just wanted the person to receive something magical from it. Just
from his writing.
Just from the intro. Yeah. And he didn't say yes or no, but he just sort of like nodded. And then I think I said, "You're so generous." I told him that. But that was my only feedback. I have no feedback. You do your thing. I hope when I'm 75, I will be able to also be that good. Yeah. Or so whatever age
you said
is.
at the start of this that you weren't sure about getting into the whole conversation. Are you someone do you find yourself in conversations with people, out and about, like on a plane? Are you someone who's having a chat on a plane, or is that pretty rare?
Nope. I am avoiding it at all. I'm wearing a hat. I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, this is not a conversation that I need to have right now, because everybody wants to end up talking about your work, Right. And there's only so many people, I think, who can do that in engaging, creative way that I haven't done a million times before. You know, I come on the podcast, I'll do the interview, I do my own podcast, I write the book. I'm telling that story so that I don't have to repeat myself.
Yeah.
Like on the plane, I just want to chill.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. I mean, it turned out into an incredible thing in that one instance. But until I feel like it might get to that point where it becomes a valuable exchange for me too, I'm going to avoid it because it's tiring. And you can tell, I guess, when somebody's ready for the information, how they might react to it. I guess after all of these years, you can kind of see where they're at in their own sexuality and in their relationship to their identity. And you're like, you're not ready for this. I am retired. What did you used to do? Strategic consulting. Oh, it must have gone very well. Yes.
Short and sweet.
Yeah. She doesn't know how to make conversation. Yuck. All right, I'll just go back to my TV or whatever. Great.
Yeah. So on a sort of related note, what's the kindest thing you've ever done for yourself?
Meditation practice for sure. Because it taught me another voice. So like the style that I do is Vipassana. And it's all about just observing the sensation. And you can start to translate that into observing your thought, like what you were thinking. And so it's kind of like you have this experiencing voice and then you have the observing voice. And I think that now that I have the observing voice, I can be like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, I know that's very, very hard, you know? So I have like a very strong, like, extra voice there for me. And I think that's been such an asset in my life.
Is that observing voice a kind voice in a way that some thoughts that pop in are not always?
Because because the practice is, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so it takes time. So there's a big part of the practice which is about observing and just like the sensations. And then there's a crux of the practice like towards the end of each session that's about sending out kindness and love.
So what changed in your life when you started that?
I think I was quite anxious about a lot, you know, about finances, about walking in the street, about being approached. Now I might still feel that, but then I can also be like, yeah, you're feeling that. And hey, that's cool. It will pass. We can take our time to like dissolve that feeling. It's absolutely fine. Completely valid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's been the best thing. Yeah.
Takes away the anxiety about the anxiety.
Yeah. It's like you have someone in your corner. It's you, but it helps.
Yeah.
I think they do that also in therapy. It's probably something you can learn that, like in a way which doesn't take sitting painfully for thousands of hours. But
So how often do you practice?
2 hours a day.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And then you disappear for like a week, a month, every year.
Wow.
Ideally. Yeah.
So it's a real, like, you have to dedicate your time and your effort to really keeping that practice up.
And it's like technically you should be doing it constantly, as in like observing, we're observing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so where do you, for that week, once a month, where do you go?
I'm lucky that they have places around the world. So it's just wherever I'm sort of near at the moment. It's 10 days minimum. Well, you can do 2 or 5 days, but 10 is nice. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's silent. So there's no looking people in the eye. There's no reading, writing, gesturing. There's nothing. It's just you in dark rooms or in a hall with other people sitting quietly.
So that's all that space that you like.
I guess so, yeah.
Crave.
Yeah, and you can create it in yourself, but I don't come out of any holiday more refreshed than after a silent retreat. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I'm very also grateful for that.
Is that gratitude something that has come with the meditation, or is that something you've always felt?
No, I think I've always had that. Where would that have come from? Probably my family. Like, we've been through all sorts of states of like financial distress or however together, but we can always enjoy little things. Finding many little things amusing and also knowing how to play, I think. My grandfather especially was very good at being very playful, and I think that just probably just brings a lot of joy to a kid.
I think silliness and playfulness should never be let go of. It reminds you what what matters. I feel that in my own life a lot. If there's something serious going on or something that feels stressful, something that I'm worried about, just being silly and playful, it just takes it all away. You're like, oh, this is all a construct. But I can laugh, and so that's fine.
Yeah. What happened the other day is just like, I think like my psyllium husk like exploded in my kitchen like 5 minutes before I had to go on a call. And I immediately went to laughing, which I hadn't actually done before. So I wonder what sort of happened with that. I think it's because my mother was just visiting and she was laughing at me constantly. So that's probably that's probably it. Because I live like a crazy, like everything is perfect, you know. And I said something like, I didn't like that it was there. And she started laughing at me. And I think that's probably inspired how ridiculous I am. Perhaps. But yeah, I think to be able to get straight to even just seeing the whole, you know, life and as something that can be really ridiculous, I think is a helpful thing also. And a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Such a great pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Love the format.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. I'll stay here till it goes.
Thank you so much for listening. You being here and your support means so much to me. A Tibetan Lama, a fantastic mum, and a generous work colleague who just happens to be a dominatrix, this episode had it all. And it also made me feel like when we put our faith in someone to share what's really going on in our lives, there's a chance that something really lovely can come out of that. This episode is dedicated to anyone who has understood us when we shared who we really are. Maybe share the episode with one of those people in your life or someone else who might love it. I would also love to hear a story from you about a time someone was kind to you. So send that in at kindpodcast.com or email me, holly@kindpodcast.com, and I will feature some of the stories on the show. If you like the show, hit subscribe, give a rating, give a review. It helps me a lot. It was great to spend time with you. Speak soon.
Dream on and let your heart unfold.